Hello and welcome to the Iron Box podcast with me, Sonicguru, and as ever, Nikki17. And we are going to talk maybe for the next 45 minutes to an hour of all the stuff we actually care about, as well as some news and gaming articles. How have you been?
I'm all right. I mean, the big thing that happened to me was I've turned 35, so that was a big deal.
I noticed
Mm.
you went to an arcade, you went to a really good looking arcade.
Yeah, I went to the arcade club, which is in Leeds. Apparently, there's three of them in the UK, but this is the nearest one up here. So obviously, went down there with Junior Mike. One thing I was hoping we would do was try out. They have Outrun 2 SP, which is a basically four-player with two people in different car kiosk things, which you could then basically race against each other. But the gimmick of the game is then, as you're racing, for instance, the track will it'll switch drivers, so it'll be like me for one bit and then Mike another bit, and then vice versa for other things. So that was a laugh to do.
Huh.
Yeah, so I'm just glad that they have one of those there because I've seen some of them in other arcades, but they've either not worked or there's too many people. So that was part of the fun of this, is actually able to go there and actually try that out.
Yeah, it's something because we never grew up with arcades. Technically, we never grew up with arcades because the
Yeah,
only ones we could go to is by the seaside.
I mean, the nearest, well, if we're talking about us, I mean, the nearest we ever got was like back when View had a few in like the places. I think they had like
Yeah,
tanks.
they had they had a Tekken 3 arcade machine.
Mm.
Well, technically it was Tekken 3, but the casing was Mortal Kombat 2, and you can get free. Apparently, someone messed up because you get all the characters unlocked and get free games with it, just free turns all the time.
Wow.
And then they became the View, and everything got changed. It's like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah, I mean, there is the bowling alley, which is around Clifton Mall, which still has a few there. But like I said, it's far in between, really, when you see, particularly finding a lot of decent arcade machines to try out. Which, like I
Yeah,
said,
like compared to America, we didn't have dedicated arcade stores to go to after school or on the weekends. We just
Hmm.
the only ones I knew about was in Scarborough. That's all I knew.
Well, there you go. I know.
Every single time at the end of the day, you haven't got much money left. It's like just go in the fucking coin slots. There you go.
Yeah,
It's just like, I got more. I got more. I got more. I got 20 pence in 2p coins.
yes. I mean, you'd be surprised now because even then, it's like I think now their only requirement is if you get up to at least £1 these days, and it will accept up to like maybe 5, 10s, 20s, or 50p's these days.
Yeah, it's getting more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a local arcade here, and it has a mini golf thing in the middle of it.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Is it just a regular mini golf, or is it like a theme thing?
That's right. It's just regular mini golf.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this channel. I'm just kind of just going through the motions. Like, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned it on an update and on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. He can suck my fat dick.
Yeah, that's something else that's happened since then. You know, apparently Mr. Fishface decided to change the social media because buying it wasn't enough. He had to then meddle around with it more.
Yeah, it leaded uprise with like 5 other Twitter competitors, including one where it's an invite only made by the former employees of fucking Twitter.
I know. Yeah, it's talk about trying to get your own back.
X.com would be the most incompetent financial and everything. It's like, really? Then why do you try getting advertisers in that are bad advertisers? And now you're threatening to remove the blog button because it's seen as bad practice, even though having a blog button is mandatory to be for a social media app.
Mm.
You just have the most fragile ego on the entire fucking planet next to Trump.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't anything new. I mean, at this point, but God, I do wonder.
It's nothing new, but at this point, it's like, oh, it's a profound genius. No, it's not. It's got deep pockets.
Oh God, I mean, I knew something was up with.
He can't spell the word aesthetics right.
God, even I'm bad at spelling, but I have Grammarly half the time to help me with that shit. So,
oh, God forbid you try to have him spell onomatopoeia.
oh God. Well, another thing, moving off from this, another thing that happened since I turned 35 was afterwards I ended up contracting COVID for a week. Maybe because mom and dad got it off from someone else, so I had it. So mainly blocked nose, sleepless nights. Although it was somewhat alleviated by me getting the most recent Lego Sonic set, so I had that to at least keep me somewhat sane.
Yeah, that's the one thing everyone had to do during the two-year lockdown. Is you had to make do with what you had. You couldn't go out that much. Like maybe 1 hour. Yeah, a lot of delivery apps came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, most of the time I was just playing Doom Eternal, so I was ripping and tearing any of my issues with that game. Basically, that's how I got through it.
Well, it's better than throwing it at the wall.
Exactly.
I ain't letting that one go. That is still historical to me.
I know. But like I said, at least I use Doom as my stress therapy, if that makes any sense for people.
It's your outlet, yeah.
It is, yes. But yeah, I've been playing it, but I've been using the Lego stuff, and yeah, it's been pretty fun. Of course, there's going to be some talk of Lego as we go on with this bad boy.
And I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, I did my Summer of Sonic throughout the month of June.
Yeah, one other thing that you can probably, this is might be a tangent, so you might clip this, but one thing I have been doing a lot is, and I have tried out Lego 2K Drive, which is one of the things we did report on ages ago. And put it this way, I'm in this sort of weird love-hate relationship with that game, because on the one hand, there is a lot to like about it. Like, obviously it's a racing driving game, open world with Lego, and obviously they play around with that gimmick. You can, as you go through the game, you unlock different missions. But a lot of it is obviously you race against different drivers. There's little challenges you go around. You can gain experience or bucks in this game, which I'll get to in a minute. And generally when you try, and again, you've got three types of vehicles. You've got, road, off-road, and basically boat, effectively. And again, and as the game goes on, it can automatically switch from any of those things depending what surface you drive on. So your car will change from whatever vehicle to another. You can unlock vehicles as you go by. You can also build stuff.
So it's kind of like if Lego Racers 3 was made.
I know, yeah, people have said like this is basically the spiritual successor to the Lego Racer series, but really decked out with a lot of features and stuff. And in many cases, it is. That said, though, there's been quite a few things about this game that's been driving me nuts. One is a lot of the main races you have.
Driving.
Sorry.
You did a pun.
So.
Yeah, Lego 2K Lego Drive is driving you nuts.
It is, yes. Indeed, it is. Like I said, a lot of the racing, like the main racing stuff, you have to do against various, competitors and stuff. Some of them do get really challenging. The game is not, even though it's made for kids, it does really ask you to really keep up with, drivers and stuff, and really like take shortcuts as a boost and things like that. So it is a proper, real get down and get your knuckles white type drive. But the other thing that's been really annoying me is the building section, which again, the game is very robust. There's like, you go in, you can pick different bases for each of the type of vehicles, and you could use different types of bricks. It has a list of different bricks you can use. Although there's a few times where I've tried to do certain things like, oh, I want to build this thing. I want to get a little door for like the car. And it's like, I look through and it's like, it's not there. It's like, do I have to unlock it or something? And then the only way I could figure it out is I had to get another vehicle, already self-made vehicle, which had the door in, basically break that down and then build on top of that, which was okay. But then the more I play this game, it's like there's a lot of things the game will and won't tell you, which is what's really frustrating me, there's a lot of things that it won't elaborate on, of like how you're meant to use certain things. You have, like I said, there's a huge selection of bricks and it's put into subcategories. But again, depending on what you're building, some bricks will be available and some won't be for whatever reason, and I can't fathom them out. And another thing that's recently popped up, because they've been updating it recently, they've added something called Dry Pass, which is like, you remember in CTR Nitro Field where they had like the Nitro thing? It was basically like a thing you could do, like win a few races, do this, and money adds to stuff, you collect things, and that's what it is. But again, it's one that unfortunately there's a lot of the paid stuff that has been bugging this game, because there is a lot of microtransaction in this game, and this thing is you can unlock things for free.
2K. What the fuck do you expect?
Yeah, but particularly with Lego, it's like that's even more iffy given their sort of brand reputation.
Hey, it's $3.99 to get this golden 2x4 block.
Yeah, something like that. But again, it's like in the Dry Pass thing, like you said, you can do various challenges, you gain experience throughout the game doing certain things. And as you do, it fills the bar up and you can unlock certain things. Now, you can unlock certain things for free, but there's a lot of stuff behind like paid walls. So for instance, if you want, say, a certain type of brick or build or accessory or even car, it's like, well, you have to literally use money to buy that thing. You can use the BritBox in this game, which is like its currency thing, and you can earn that. But of course, it's very stingy about certain things. Usually, if you do certain things on various difficulties or challenges, it will give you a certain amount of money. But like I said, it's clearly designed more to like wanting you to use real money in a certain accent, which I have not tried to do that myself. But what's really been frustrating is that there's a certain brick type I've been trying to get, which is like a little hinge, like flag bit for a vehicle I'm trying to build. And again, you have to go up to like pretty much level 60 to do this. And I'm already like on level 20 in terms of, the progression bar of this thing. And it just is, oh my God, and like I said, there's a lot of little things that this game really has been testing my patience. Because like I said, on one hand, when it's fun, it's a really fun little game and to try out things and do stuff. But it is such a ballsy, demanding thing at times that it either will or won't let you do certain things or won't tell you certain things. And that has been the most frustrating aspect. I've been going on like online, I've been trying to find videos. A lot of them just don't fucking tell you. I had to go into I've actually been on the Discord where actually some people have figured out more how the game actually works to actually know half the shit works. And that's what's been generally frustrating me the most. Because in this day and age, everybody does walkthroughs and how to do videos. And there's a lot of stuff this game people have not covered. And I'm generally surprised at that. That has been shocking in my opinion. Oh, I finally got off my advice. I've been winning that for ages, I'll tell you that.
All right, I can still up my right now because I remembered something else I actually I've done and got and collected. Is that I now own Crash Team Rumble. I succumbed to it because of two reasons. One, I am rating something, and two, it's part of the collection. I can't just say I'm not getting this because it's an online-only game. I have to because I have every other fucking Crash game in existence.
The completion
besides the LCD games that are honestly I'm spending $2,000 on something that doesn't fucking work.
Yeah, well, then again, the amount of times I've seen people pulling extortionate prices for those Crash figures from the mid-90s. Oh boy, especially some of them are not built.
Sorry. Okay, the game you part of 4v4, you get as much Wumpa you can. Apparently there's a timer to actually score the fucking Wumpa. There are gems you can stand on, and if one's activated, you can get a butt booster. There are relics you can collect relics to collect, and standing on certain paths to store the relics gives you power-ups attributed to each map. So each map have different power-ups, and each character can choose their own power-up, which can actually hinder the opponents. Okay, sounds pretty good. That's all there is to do in the fucking game. It's just one game mode.
Yeah.
That is it. There is nothing else. I know some people will try to defend multiplayer and this saying, "Oh no, there's plenty to do. There's events that can happen, which changes slightly." Oh yeah, the Zap competitive, which is exactly the same game, except now two people can have an electric fence between them after a certain distance. But the goal is the same.
Yeah.
Oh, there's private matches with friends. The only single player component to this is the tutorial and a practice match. That is it. This game that sells for $40 retail could have been attached to any other Crash game. This could have been a multiplayer mode attached to Crash 4.
Yeah.
There is nothing else to do in the game. Each map is varied. Each match you get can have different people, and you can have some people who are just playing out assholes. You can have certain people who are a lot more passive, just want to score. I swear, there was one match I was showing Sarah, and they were close. The goal is to get 2,000 Wumpa. They had 1,983 Wumpa. I was like, I was rescinded to actually think, I'm just going to lose to this match, aren't I? Somehow we won.
By miracle, you won.
We were 300 Wumpa away, but somehow we actually won the match. They cared about getting that freaking bonus most of the time and stopping us from actually scoring, but we got the score anyway.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I understand it's a very subjective thing, but I fucking cannot stand online multiplayer games, especially solely online multiplayer. It's not local multiplayer, so you can't set up little team matches in your own house, split screen. Whose idea was this?
The thing is, this goes back to when this is back when it was still taught as Wumpa League. And again, it was sort of this whole game. It was it canned? Was it not? Was it reworked? And all this whole business. And again, what you said is that it feels like something they were going to add to Crash 4 as like an extension multiplayer thing. And the fact they've turned it into a full game feels like clearly something happened in the middle of development of this. Like they wanted, presumably this started out as a little extra to Crash 4 they were going to add on, but then it either blew up more or Activision decided, oh, there's a bit more to this and you can make it a full game, and of course what it is. But like I said, the thing I remember thinking is like, well, what's the reason behind this? I mean, Crash Team Racing, it has a narrative. I mean, it's not the greatest narrative in the world, but there's like a reason.
No, it was a just who the fuck cares kind of narrative. It was like, we're going to turn the planet into a concrete parking lot. That's how much they didn't care. But it still had a single player component. You had an adventure mode. You'll become that guy by the end of it when you invite your friends, though. It's like, how come you're so far ahead? Oh, I've been executing power moves for the entire adventure mode to actually beat Nakus Oxide and the ghost times. You become that guy, but at the same time, you can play on your own. Crash Bash, you can play on your own. Crash Boom Bang, you can play on your own.
I mean, there's a lot of.
I wouldn't recommend it, but you can play on your own.
Yeah, there's a lot of games out there where they just give you bots. You can just do a private, get bots against player thing, and the fact this doesn't even have that, right?
No, there's no bots. It's just online only, and there's only one game mode. I'm pretty sure they can update it with version 2 down the line, or when it eventually becomes a free-to-play model, because it will.
Yeah.
It is a niche IP. I understand it is a very popular IP, Crash Bandicoot.
I mean, the fact that it's right after comeback as well, because again, the fact that we had the redos of the original games, the CTR racing, and then of course we eventually got a brand new Crash game. The fact that they decided let's do a brand new idea of this series isn't bad, but it's just like, again, there's just not a lot of meat to this bones, especially given that, it's funny when people keep complaining about how, like, Frontiers, for instance, people say, oh, they're just reusing assets. Oh my God, they're so lazy, whatever. It's like, this thing is reusing a lot from Crash 4. The movesets, the animations, there's some new bits put into it, but a lot of this is still Crash 4's basis, effectively, just put into a sort of, okay, you've got a bigger map to then prat around and stuff. And again, it's not a bad thing, but like you said, it depends
like
what you do with it.
If it was local multiplayer and it was an add-on to a game, like, Halo or Smash Bros, for example. Smash Bros is a multiplayer game, but it has a single player component. It could have been something else. It could have, even if it wasn't attached to a game, at least if it had a single player component where there was, a somewhat narrative. I don't care if it used freaking PNG cutouts for a narrative, like with Team Sonic Racing.
Yeah, I mean, that's how. I mean, really, that's about as basic as you can get. And even then, I was thankful we didn't end up with that with like future games. Thankfully.
Yeah, it could have. Actually, as a good comparison, Team Sonic Racing that had a single player component, didn't need to, and it had challenges throughout. You could have done that with Team Rumble. Why didn't you do it at Team Rumble, Toys for Bob?
Yeah, like I said, I'm assuming, again, development for this kept changing from one thing to another, and particularly, I think at one point there was this whole thing where they were going to get swallowed into the whole, Call of Duty development team, because that's what they've done a lot of the things with Activision now. So it's difficult to know. I mean, we're probably going to have to wait another couple of years to find out what exactly happened to the game.
I guarantee for at least a few months from now, we're going to have a 1.3, 1.5, or even a version 2 of the game, which still have the same main components and main kind of gameplay for the Wumpa League, but it will have something additional added onto it to actually entice players to come back and say, no, it's different now.
Well, as I said, I remember when they first announced this, like, again, I was intrigued, but the more I looked at it, I just felt like there's no point. And as you said, the fact it's online, it's like, again, once that's dead, it's like, this game's useless. I mean, another example is like, I remember actually Destiny of all things. Apparently, Destiny's been updated so many times from game 1 and all the DLC and even 2. Apparently, there's stuff from even the earlier games because of the uploads, the updates. They can't play those things anymore. So if you got a disc copy of, say, Destiny 1, it's more or less useless to some extent.
Yeah, you need to access all the downloads and even all the DLC to play what essentially the most stable version. Yeah. Destiny 2, which took until like the second DLC to actually be relatively good.
Yeah, oh boy.
And it's still going strong as a free-to-play game. But
and again, that's still going off the fact that it's the guys behind Halo, which at this point, so basically not a lot of them are left anymore these days. But again, it's like, if that's what's happened to that game, that could be a telltale sign for a lot of games like this. If this doesn't happen to Rumble soon, I'd be shocked. I'd be generally sorry if it doesn't happen, but it's probably going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, until Crash Team Rumble pulls its head out of its ass and it expects more players. It's expecting everyone's like, it's Crash Bandicoot, you're going to love it, you're going to love it and enjoy it. It's like, you need more than just an IP, okay?
Believe me, I've been down Crash spin-off territories before, and even then I was not a fan of Bash all those years ago, so believe me, I've I've heard.
I'll take it from someone who's played every single fucking game. It's not boom bang bad.
No.
Nothing is comparable. But you
No.
know what? I would rather play Titans again. I really would.
Me too, man.
I'm not going as far as Mutant, even though the animation is good.
Yeah, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
But moving on to my namesake, we've got some Sonic news. First of all, is the third update to Sonic Frontiers that was announced, the Final Horizon story update.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the time was worth it, because goddamn, that trailer, even though it's mainly pre-rendered, you have a lot to live up to by showing a new super state.
Yeah, well, that's what's getting the social medias up in front. It's everybody's asking, is it Super Sonic 2, Cyber Sonic, whatever, all the names are going everywhere.
A new Hypersonic, yeah, it's like, it could be a Cyber Supersonic or a Super Duper Sonic.
Yeah.
Well, if he's a Supersonic, and I'm gonna go far to be a Super Sonic.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah, I gotta throw in a TFS in that somehow.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah, that's all that's going on. Basically, right now we see Eggman, Sage, Sonic, and Tails, Knuckles, and Amy still in cyber versions of themselves.
yes,
Sonic does super, and the red aura electricity, he gets blue eyes.
Yeah.
I know it's not much, but they're going up against a different kind of looking Supreme.
I mean, the only difference is like the Supreme didn't have extra arms, right? That was not in the initial.
No, he had the red face and the shell, but that's about it.
Yeah, and the gun that came out, that was like kind of the big shebang with him.
Yeah, Knight looked better than Supreme.
Hmm.
The other gun, well, the Knight had a sword and 4 legs, so
I mean,
Wyvern was better.
I mean, to be fair,
I used to hate that boss fight. I don't know why. I just had trouble fighting Wyvern.
Well,
until someone told me, saying, you don't have to time it, you just hold down the button.
To be fair, it was
excuse me for playing Rise and Revengeance so much.
Yeah, I mean, the game is basically, the parry of this is basically just undefeatable, basically, in that sense. Again, my problem with the Rowan thing was basically that there was just so much shit going on the screen. It was hard for me to try and just avoid half the stuff when you realize, oh, you could just deflect the missiles at any point. It's like, oh, good, that alleviates all the pain.
I've seen too many people trying to avoid the missiles. Too many people just avoid them rather than parry. You see, you can just parry a missile and then it'll automatically fly forward to the face. You don't have to catch up,
Yeah, that's what I did initially. I thought that was the point. You avoided just to catch up.
But that's the entire trailer. That's the announcement of Final Horizons, and it's going to have new story, new playable characters, and something else. I forgot what else knows about it. But first of all, Super Sonic 2, we can just bypass that. It's like, that's going to be the big surprise. It's something that should have happened in the main game, but whatever. What the hell can they add to this?
Well, here's the thing.
Because you spoilers in case you haven't seen it. You get the last emerald, becomes Super, fight Supreme. Sage goes inside Supreme now that the end has vacated it, and the end regains a body and becomes a moon.
Basically, a killer moon, effectively.
Yeah. Which doesn't sound like much, but honestly, this is the one that wiped out an entire planet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the mystery of like what killed off these people, basically possessed moon, effectively.
Apparently, it's representative of who they want to destroy. So the moon basically represents Sonic or Sage. Like, it's an all-encompassing thing. I don't know. You get bit too meta in that one. But what can they add? Because this is obviously between those fights, between after the Supreme, or at least before the Supreme, and then the end.
Well, that's what I'm curious about, because they're saying this is a new story, but my curiosity with this whole thing, because in the game, when Sonic fully becomes corrupt, basically because of the cyberspace business, you have the cutscene where Tails, Amy, Knuckles come out and they're back to the normal selves, and they all decide to use the power of friendship, because all the games have used the power of friendship, let's be fair, to basically put him back to normal. And it's left unclear what's happened to them during that whole thing. We don't see them until literally after the end's boss fight, that they come out fully. So I'm always curious whether or not the whole point of this is we're going to see what they were doing during that state. If this is, because again, the little trailer we got, is this still not in like the cyberspace flashback thing? Because it's all red and stuff, and that's been part of the game sort of narrative. Whenever we see like, what actually happened to the Coco. So again, I'm not sure whether this is meant to take place during that or even after the game, because somebody
I do actually that makes a lot of sense because when they were saying like Sonic has to break this because Sonic has broken through cyberspace and his corruption is gone after they go back into cyberspace.
Yeah,
that could be a good indicator.
Yeah, because I assumed that would be part of I thought that's part of what the DLC was going to do. We're going to see that little section of what were the three were doing during that whole bit.
Yeah. Then obviously whether or not, because apparently, like you said before, not only are the comics technically canon, but Prime is as well.
To a point.
And there was people are bringing up a quote saying Till saw another version of himself talking to him.
So, yeah. Again, that's kind of stretching at straws, to be fair, with that whole thing.
I know, but considering it's said to actually be canon during the events of Sonic, like everything is canon apparently. It's okay. How is it going to be canon? Because my idea right now, the idea is like Sonic is still aloof in Prime compared to being more responsible in Frontiers. I mean, it still has his moments with Tails and Knuckles.
Oh yeah. That's always going to be.
But he's not as much as less jump in, think later kind of person.
Yeah, exactly. That's his shtick. And even then, it's like I've heard the whole thing of people saying, how can this be canon? I mean, I've always took most of the animated stuff to be their own thing. I mean, if it's canon in the sense of this is where the game series is now, in the same way when X was made, that was what the Sonic games were like, tonally or visually at that point. And if Prime is in the same category as, and this is where the series is kind of is now from a visual sense, fair enough. But I do, to be fair, I'm treating Prime as its own thing anyway. I mean, it's using stuff, obviously, the games are set up now, obviously, that yes, there's Green Hill. Yes, this is how the rings were. Yes, Shadow's whole Chaos Control business and stuff. I mean, that's fine. Everything else, how it goes about, how it shows off the world and characterizations, that's up for game because, again, different medias, whatever. But like I said, I know that whole thing. If it's to say that he sees 9 inside the cyberspace stuff, I think that's stretching it. It'd be a laugh if it did happen, but I don't know. But everything someone pointed out in the trailer is, and we see Sage and all looking at the Supreme. Somebody pointed out that there was a Sonic Channel artwork where it supposedly
Eggman designing Sage's shoes.
And apparently it looks like she's got those shoes on. So
she has them the entire game though.
Does she? All right.
Yeah, she has them the entire game. It's just that they're not really a focus on certain camera angles.
Okay, right. But like I said, it seemed to be more of a thing for this one. But again, as like I said, I mean, again, if this is meant to take place after the end of the game, which again, another spoiler, it ends with Eggman seemingly trying to access the Coco afterlife, because throughout the game we get the symbol anytime the Cocos pass on. Seems to be kind of the symbol of the spirits where they go to. So it hints that
and shout out to Flynn though, because he's been teasing and saying he's not going to say anything because he helped flesh out what was originally written. Can we have a reason behind that symbol, please?
Yeah.
It's because we see it at least 8 times throughout the entire freaking game.
I know. And you even see it like in some of the ruins you run around in. So again, it's part of their culture in some way.
I'm thinking it just means dream or dreams. That's all I can think of.
Again, if this is going to do anything, it'll probably explain a bit more what that symbol is meant to mean overall, and whether or not it's a way. As ever, Eggman's always trying to find a way of getting something out of something. It's like, is he going to try and use that to his own advantage again? Because that's how this whole mess started in the first place.
Yeah, and maybe we have to get a bit more context to the ending of the game as well, because Eggman has it on his computer, and Sage returns.
Yeah, so again, he's still trying to get access to Sage in some ways, even if it is just to know what his daughter's doing. Although another thing that's been said about the DLC, particularly this comes from the director, is that he said obviously people were disappointed with the boss fight of the end, being that it turns into a bullet hell gun segment. And
which wouldn't be bad for a mini game, or at least a mission, which you did twice.
Yeah, which you do. Which maybe know if you do that every now and again, you get a terminal or a thing, you do play that mini game a few times. So it's not like they didn't. It's not totally out of the blue they don't do it. But at the same time, it's like as a final boss fight, it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're controlling a giant robotic colossal thing, it's like you kind of want to control the giant robotic colossal thing, don't you?
Yeah, as much as you hated it, at least Guy Colossus let you play as Guy fucking Colossus.
At one point, yeah, you do turn into one. Which again, I'm surprised actually, because this game, if anything, people like to go on about, oh, it's ripping off Breath of the Wild. It's really going for Colossus in terms of its tone, aesthetic, and even kind of like moments of the game. Like Sonic does become corrupted, like the main character.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of the Breath of the Wild comparison. It's like it's completionists brought it up saying it's more akin to Mario Odyssey. Because yeah, you got several levels, all open-ended. You can go where the hell you want. Yeah, there's a linear path you can take, but it's an open-ended world, and you jump between different worlds. Same with the islands, you jump between islands.
Yeah,
it's not like it's not like Jack and Daxter. You go from a forest to the village to the actual other village into a mountainside.
Yeah, I mean that's more interconnected with that sense, but again, it's like, I mean, particularly the way the game's designed is obviously they put so many little trinkets or platforming challenges, whatever. So it's meant to be whatever you end up doing, you're always getting something out of it in some form, whether it be tokens or experience points or cocos or whatever. So that's really what we're trying to do with this bad boy.
Yeah. Well, I hope obviously it's gonna be better than Update 2. Update 2, Jesus Christ. Update 1, Update 1 fleshed out the game. It's like, here's a few things that we managed to fix and add into the game to make it feel more robust. Like this is what we will, and this is what the end result is meant to be. Here's a boss rush. Here's a challenges. We play the levels in succession, and also, hey, you want to get rid of the star stomping and seeing that repetitive freaking animation when Sonic powers up?
Yeah, you can turn that off.
You can turn that off now.
Yeah, if there's one thing I'm glad about, if there's one thing I really hope whatever they do for future games is like they keep the option list in every subsequent game, because it's like there's so many things you can tweak or turn on and off, and it's like, yeah, just keep that as a mainstay for going forwards. And photo mode, that's another thing. I had so much. I spent a lot of time.
Photo mode and a jukebox were like fun additions, but those were necessary, not necessary, but welcome additions.
They're just fun extras, yeah.
Update 2 added additional score challenge mode. What the fuck?
Well, to be fair, Update 2 is also the one where it's supposedly you want to spin dash, well, you have to do these extra challenges as well. So that's like the key thing about it.
Yeah, what the fuck? And on top of all that, it's like, oh, hey, yeah, we've now got more completion quotas. Remember all those memory tokens you kind of cheated out of collecting? Guess what? In order to complete an island, you have to collect every single memory token. Find all the special chow and find all the extra music and just all the challenges. To complete an island, you need to collect everything.
I had a feeling
except the cocos. Only the special cocoa.
Yeah.
You have to collect everything to complete an island. Christ.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, the way I've been playing the game is I just do a little bit each time when I do it. If I fancy doing this challenge or not, I do it. I don't really try and like bash out like I'm going to do all these 3 things in an hour. It's like, no way, I'm not going to try that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, generally,
I think something else was added. The birthday celebration stuff, which I never used.
I did. I mean, it's a laugh. It's a bit of fun. It's funny to see these empty areas give it a birthday theme for a lot of it, especially the platform segments that they put out for the game. It's like, it's funny to see it. And again, it's just a fun extra. It doesn't do anything to change the game, but it's a fun little thing to add it in.
Yeah, I think this thing, Update 2 was kind of a waste to me. Could have been added in Update 1, but I'm looking forward to this one. We're going to get it in a month's time on September 8th. September 28th.
Yes, that's the bad boy. The other thing also is that I think we mentioned this before. It's like there were leaks of Amy, Tails, and Knuckles' like movesets and like some of the abilities they can use. So I'm glad that we're finally getting the other characters in the games again, because it does feel like it's been way too long now. You know, the fact that we've gone this long without playing as the other main characters in main games, not spin-offs and one-offs, but in the main draw of the games themselves. It's like, if you got these cast of characters, you know, you want to use them. You want to use them because they can do special things and stuff. And I
think besides maybe 4 characters, every single character has been playable. Like Tikal, Marine, the human characters. Obviously a lot of... We haven't played with Eggman Nega yet, unless you want to count the Olympic Games.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, is like, if you taking those out of the side, like the spin-offs, one-offs and stuff, in terms of the main games, pretty much from 06 to now, it's basically you just play as the blue dude. It's like any excuse to just him, none of the other characters. They can appear in cameos or part of the narrative, but it's like, no, we're not touching them because everybody hated them. Never want to play those characters ever again. And
yeah, you got to take it to an extreme. Like, too many characters. Okay, there's one character. I want to play as other characters. What do you want? too many all at once is too many all at once. You don't have to go to a buffet and get one of each fucking item. You just take it one at a time. You can't just fill it up with fucking chicken wings and that's it.
Yeah, but like I said, I think part of that is down to the fact that just how the criticisms of the Sonic games have been over the years, and it's probably just Sonic Team going, right, they don't like that, we're not touching that with the yardstick ever again. And with Frontiers, it's been more like, at least the director's been like, okay, tell me what you want. This is stuff you like, stuff you didn't like. There's stuff I wanted to get in the game, but I couldn't for reasons. It's like, yeah, I want to make this bigger and better. So I'm glad that with this game, at least with this final update, is in we are always going to play as, at least the characters most people are accepted, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, because let's be fair, it has been the year of Amy, I would say, about this entire year.
Yeah. So honestly, with this as well, if the update is well received, especially with the actual characters and the play styles, we might finally get that adventure remake.
I mean, either a remake or a new style of adventure game from this. It's like that's really on the cards now.
Or Adventure 3. If Frontiers is having to go by right now, Adventure 3 could be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, if this works, I mean, seeing how Frontiers is meant to be the new benchmark, it's like there's a lot they've got to build off from this, and it's like there's so much they can do, and just hopefully they'll just take the right lessons to make the next game even better.
Yeah. Speaking of next game, Sonic Superstars, which I keep sometimes calling Sega Superstars.
I mean, let's be fair, it's not. We're so used to that because it used to be a sub-series in itself. Superstars, tennis, All-Stars Racing. That's where it all happened.
Yeah. First of all, closer than you think, October 17th, which is weird because usually Sonic games get released in November.
Yeah, that's.
But again, November is a strong month for a lot of major IPs coming out.
Yeah.
But we got a trailer for a multiplayer mode. Not so much the main game.
No.
But we now have a battle mode with split screen, which I thought was long dead since. But it's taken inspiration. I wouldn't say copying inspiration from Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. Because that multiplayer mode, you can actually use robots to race each other. This one, you seem to be taking parts of different robots and creating whole new ones.
Yeah, I did.
Like it looks like a metal Tails, but with metal Knuckles arms.
Yeah,
and you can color each one. Like, where did this idea come from? Because goddamn, that's creative.
Yeah, well, one thing that's also been happening is the Game Inform has been doing they do monthly things, like the Central Runner Games development that they're doing on Superstars. So they've been showing off different things, and one of them mentioned during a playtest is you unlock a lot of cosmetics for the game, and he wasn't sure what they were for. So we now know it's for these, robot dudes or presumably other things, and you can mix and match and stuff. Presumably, it's all metal versions of all four characters, maybe even a Trip, because again, I'm assuming people are still assuming maybe that's going to be the bonus character at the end of the game. Whatever Trip's going to look like fully, that's going to be surprise, here's this fifth level character you didn't know was going to be in.
Yeah. Apparently, one of the stages you battle on, it looks like Green Hill, which honestly, it looks pretty good. It's Green Hill again, but this time it's reserved for multiplayer. Here's a familiar stage, so you know where everything is.
Yeah, I mean, a mate of mine did it was like, how dare you lie to us? Actually, the battle mode looks the robot dudes look pretty good, so he did say that. I had a feeling they were going to, if they're going to put Green Hill, it would be just an extra thing. So, to be fair, if this is meant to be, that's it, we're fully done after this game. It's like, right, that's it, really. No more checker pattern, palm trees areas, like this again. At least not for a good.
What kind of looks like a more rusted looking chemical plant, but could be something different.
It looks a bit different. It reminded me a little bit of, like I said, Chemical Plant, but also a bit of it reminded me of Planet Wisp, the factory sections of that bit.
Yeah, Chemical Plant, Planet Wisp, and a little bit of Oil Desert.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the new trailer really focused on the multiplayer aspect, especially the 4-player co-op, where it still seems to be a bit of a score attack mode. And the thing I'm mostly curious about is that fucking digital zone.
Yeah, that's something they've been teasing up. It's supposed to be like they go into this like literally a cyberspace area where you go pixelated and you either turn into a jellyfish or rocket in this case.
Yeah, all the characters look like those little miniature Lego sets.
Yeah, those are nano bricks. That was it.
Yeah, that's the one. They look like exactly like those.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, one thing I did see in the trailer as well is actually they did show off one of the Chaos Stub abilities, which is called Bullet, which is basically you turn into a spinny ball that basically holds in midair, and you could basically figure out which direction you want to do. So it's kind of like a sort of, I guess, like an alternate jump. It's like you do one jump, stop, then wait to pick your movement where you want to go, and then you can move on. So there's that. Another thing that's also popped up was while this was going on, there was a tie-in Lego mini game website that you can play right now, and people find out thinking, "Hey, this tune's unfamiliar," and people find out, "Oh, wait, this is actually the tune for the opening level of the game, Bridge Zone segment."
Yeah, and a lot of other tracks have been discovered in there as well, and a lot of people are kind of disappointed because it sounds a bit like Sonic 4. It's like, yeah, because you do remember that the Genesis is kind of hard to emulate music for.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's T-Lopes. In fact, this is another thing I heard from the Game Informer, is that T-Lopes is helping do the music with Jun Sonoy. So it's more or less probably June doing the actual putting the music together, and it's June, T-Lopes putting the notes together, basically. So that seems to be the attitude. But they seem to go back and forth. Apparently, they were very much like back and forth for like what Sonic music, what sounds like a Sonic music for a level, and that stuff. So,
as long as it fits the theme and is catchy, I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, again, I played that mini Lego game thing, and I was already like humming the tune after a bit. It's like, yeah, this is a Sonic music level. It just fits, I will say that it sounds a little different. Like if you play the game, you hear the music in that versus to the trailer, it does sound different. Maybe it's an early version compared to a finished version. Who knows? But
speaking of, apparently there was an early version of the Sonic Mania completion tune.
Yeah, he uploaded that. Yeah, so after 6 years,
and someone actually made. It's apparently there is a Mania Mega Mix with different ending themes as well to make it sound similar. And someone modded the game to actually put it back in. They called it the Sonic Discovery result screen rather than Sonic Mania result screen.
All right.
It's like, yeah, I love Sonic 3 and Knuckles result screen, but honestly, could have added an originality to it.
Yeah, well, because in Romania was like was still doing the remember this with a twist segment of games.
Yeah, can we go past Sonic 3, please?
Yeah. Although again, one thing this game is taken from Sonic 3 is once you finish that, it just immediately goes into the next set, which again Menu did as well. So it's taking that cue at least.
Yeah, at least it's a full zone, not just bits of it split up.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, we also have, and I'm getting tired of seeing this because it's always digital deluxe editions. Why?
Yeah.
Can I go on a slight rant here? Why in the name of everything does the digital version of a game cost exactly the same amount as a physical copy? Shouldn't it be cheaper because it's a direct download onto a system with no freaking prints on paper or any plastic, or even actually making the freaking saving money on a freaking cartridge as well? But no, let's make it cost just as much and also make it cost a bit more to get all the DLC that comes with it, because apparently the digital versions of games need DLC more than the physical version.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I looked at this. I'm on the website myself, so I'm looking at both the physical and digital thing, which, again, they did pull this off with Origins Plus, and, people did sort of call out the bullshit in terms of the standards of what you actually get with the...
Yeah, it costs $40 to get Origins, and it costs $40 to get Origins Plus physical. Yeah, it costs almost $8 to get the DLC if you already bought the digital version. So,
yeah.
What the fuck are you playing at?
This is unfortunately a lot of games keep doing this sort of nonsense.
You're not manufacturing anything, so it should cost less. And also, the DLC should be added across the entire fucking board, not just to one thing and forcing people to actually get direct downloads or something. Because honestly, I would rather have it in my fucking hand, because you know what? When you buy something digital, you don't legally own it.
No, unless you make sure you keep it on your save thing, unless it gets delisted.
No, it's like when it gets taken off something, when a service does not fucking exist anymore, all that
Yeah.
money you spent is gone.
Yeah.
People apparently when not Amazon, no Warner Bros has gone through that freaking tax write-off shit. They got rid of an entire animated series and they got rid of it on Amazon Prime Video. It's gone. If you purchased it, it is gone now. Anything you buy online digitally, you don't legally own. It could be taken away at any fucking point. That's why at the time when the 360, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the 360 does not exist on the stores. I got it was still on the store, so I still technically own a copy. So if I delete that and my account disappears, it is gone. That's why I'm so fickle when it comes to digital only games. I'd rather have a physical version of it. I still have my Nintendo Wii 2006 with like several virtual console games and WiiWare games because fuck you, I'm keeping them.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's like I've still got my old 360 running, and again, there's a lot of stuff in there that's been either delisted or taken off. So it's like I'm kind of thankful it's still on my machine. It's there, thankfully. But as you say, you know, with the whole advent of streaming digital only stuff, it's like, yeah, it's very easy to just take this off without any notice, any worry, and you know, can't get it back.
Yeah, people companies trying to crack down on it. You can't do that. You can't download this. It's like, well, make it more widely available and stop charging more money for it than it would be to actually physically own it. Thank you, Limited Run, for actually existing, but at the same time, Christ. Anyway, rant over. There is a digital deluxe version of Sonic Superstars. I almost said Sega again. It includes the following: Lego Fun Packs, a rabbit skin, exclusive battle parts, a digital art book. I'd rather have a physical art book, thank you very much. Soundtrack, and bonus main menu wallpapers. Two things need to note here. First of all, the exclusive mech battle pass for battle mode is Mecha Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah, it's basically the first Metal Sonic we saw before CD got in there.
In terms of release order, it's the second one.
Yes.
Silver Sonic came out first, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But it is Silver Sonic Mark II. But yeah. It looks a bit too bulky for me because I think it's against inspiration from the Lego version.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, the thing they use for this, you know, the way it looks on the splash screen for it, is like, I swear it's more or less based off the toy, because you get a toy of that character actually last few years now. So it's probably based on that. Another thing, before you go into the other stuff, another thing that happened is that there's like a mailing subscribe thing. This happened with Frontiers. Like if you sign up, you can get the sub shoes type stuff. They're doing this with this, where you can get like Classic Amy in her adventure look as well. So it is odd that they're doing these, like, here's a free download thing, but then there's all this other paid stuff you have to do as well, which is, again, I would have, it just always
before even when I'm not sure what's going to say in the comments saying you can just download the DLC for the physical version. It's like, yeah, but I fucking shouldn't have to, because it's going to cost more to get the DLC and the physical game separately than it would be to get the digital deluxe version.
Yeah. And also, it's going to be there for a while. I'm pretty sure this thing is still going to be there regardless for how many years until they decide to pull the plug and things. But again, I don't have to worry that when it comes nearer.
Well, apparently the soap shoes is now a download, so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms for Superstars, in terms of like the extras you're getting, it's like this deluxe version will be up for a while anyway. You can still get it even if you don't get it on day one.
Yeah. Also, the rabbit skin. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
It's Field the Rabbit. I know that's not his real name, but it's what I'm going with.
Max? Isn't people calling him Max now?
I don't know. I call him Field the Rabbit because apparently Rystar was basically because apparently the rabbit eventually picks stuff up with his ears.
Yeah, that was the idea.
That was taken and actually reconstructed into Rystar.
Yeah.
But original name of Rystar was Feel or Feel Me. So I'm naming him Feel.
All right, then. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, we've already talked about this before. Like, they've really gone for the barrel of what old stuff can we reuse, and it's like, this is about the last thing you could use. Like, how about literally the prototype for this character?
Oh, no, yeah, but everyone points out, no, his name isn't Mr. Needle Mouse.
Yeah, we know.
First of all, that was attributed to Sonic, because it didn't come up with a name yet. Second of all, Mr. Needle Mouse is a mistranslation. Okay? It's not Needle Mouse. It's Hedgehog, Mr. Hedgehog, because apparently the characters that were used for Hedgehog were slightly apart, and I think here's the thing: the characters for Needle and the characters for Mouse are exactly the same when connected together to make Hedgehog. So it's a mistranslation which is attributed to decades worth of misinformation. It is not Mr. Needle Mouse. It has never been Mr. Needle Mouse. Yuji Naka had no freaking idea what the fuck Needle Mouse even was.
No,
or where it came from.
Yeah, did you even know hedgehogs could swim as well? There you go. That was another thing.
Oh, there's so many jokes of that.
I know, but like I said, there's a lot of...
Like, Amy, did you know a hedgehog can float? What do you mean I should have known that? There's so much nostalgia with this game. Like, here's Mechasonic, here's Lego, here's Field the Rabbit.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit that when they announced they were doing also the Lego tie-in thing, that you're going to get Lego, Eggman and presumably Sonic, it's like you're going to have the other characters in Lego form, because it's like it'd be stupid not to do that. So I'm assuming they were going to put that in the game at some point.
Yeah. Again, October 27th. Apparently there was something else talked about as well. I'm trying to find it now. Lost it. I've lost it. But here's the thing about Sega. God damn it, Sonic Superstars. I'm not that hyped for it, nor am I concerned for it.
I mean, it's going to. I mean, to be fair, it's the similar thing when they announced Mania. It's like it's going to work. I mean, you don't have to worry.
Well, Mania was a gamble. I mean, it was going to work anyway.
It was a gamble, but it was more as it went on.
Here's a sprite-based classic Sonic game you wanted since 2010, but it's made by a fan developer in association with Sega. And it's going up against the same year as Sonic Forces, which was the game people were looking forward to. What's the next game?
Well, that was obviously they were probably planting their eggs more in Mania to be the breakout hit, and Forces was what they were planning to be regardless. But Mania was going to be the one like, well, this is probably going to be the bigger hit just in general.
Yeah. So, but now, like, Mania was a big gamble. It worked. But I think it overshadowed a lot of expectations that Classic Sonic was now a mainstay rather than just being a one-off for generations.
Yeah.
Now we're going back. It's like, okay, we've got a 2.5D Classic Sonic game that we should have had in 2010, arguably. I mean, I don't mind Sonic 4, but this feels like what Sonic 4, or at least what Sonic 5 should be.
Yeah, I mean,
expanded on the established formula, including extra characters. Bring in Emerald powers, which is still a weird concept to me. And not to mention the pedigree behind it, because you got Naoto Oshima on the helm as well.
Yeah, it's pretty much his development team working with Sonic Team for this.
Yeah, so there's no concern over this. If it becomes a bad game, it's like, oh, it's just not as good as Mania. Like, okay, that'll be surprising.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get immediately people are going to say it's not as good as Menu. You're going to get that off the bat, but I think it's still going to stand its own 2 feet, because that's pretty much how I'm looking at this game. It's going to stand its own 2 feet.
Yeah, it's not a Mania 2, nor is it a Sonic 4 or 5. It is Sonic Superstars. Yeah, and that's what a lot of critics need to fucking get over with.
Yeah, well, another thing that also happened was, again, going back to Game Informer, there was they actually did reveal, because there was all that concern about, Christian Whitehead not involved, but then he kind of gave thumbs up for the physics involved, and people were kind of like, oh, did Sega badmouth him or something like that? And apparently there's no bad blood between them. It's very much, they tried to do a Mania 2, they tried with concepts and stuff, but nothing fully came together, and it just eventually stopped. And it was apparently when Yukaza met up with Noshima-san, and kind of saying, yeah, we did try to come up with like a new take on the classic series. It's like, oh, maybe there's some ideas we came up with. It's like, oh, let me have a look. And apparently it went from there, basically. That's how this game really came to be.
But yeah, like you said, like it has it has a pedigree, like you said. Essentially, it stemmed from an idea of Mania 2 as well. So I don't have any concern for it. But again, I don't have any hype for it because it's feels standard. Like I'm gonna look forward to playing it. I'm not denying I'm gonna play it.
No, I mean, if anything, one thing
there's nothing really shouting at me like this is gonna be the best or the best worst game ever. It's gonna be so much hype. I don't care what's happening, because I had this hype with Forces. I had this hype with Frontiers, even though there was a lot of concern with that for being so drastically different compared to the last 10 years of Sonic games.
Yeah,
even Sonic Boom I had some hype for it, despite being very lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, the irony.
I just don't feel that same way with Superstars, and I think it's because it's like I'm not concerned for its success.
No, I mean, that is an odd thing to say that, you got everything you wanted, then why are they like jumping off the roof? Because it's like, well, I've kind of done that before with the games and they've either met or lowered my expectations. But then again, it's like the thing with this game, one thing I'm glad about with this and Frontiers is like it is seemingly this is now the beginning of like, let's get the characters back into the main games. Let's get Tails, Knuckles, and Amy as part of the crew, to be playable characters again, rather than just be only for the narrative, only for cutscenes or just spin-off games. I like the fact that they're doing this back to back. Like I said, at least if anything, this is not a sign for them saying, all right, we're going to make these characters a mainstay going forward. You're not just going to play as the blue hedgehog. You're going to play as the orange fox, the red echidna, the other pink hedgehog. It's like these are going to be mainstays going forwards, which I hope that's...
The only concern is that it's going to be like we had since 2008, where it's just going to be these 4 playable characters.
That's the thing.
No Shadow, no Rouge, no Blaze, no Vector, Ezreal, Charmy, and all the rest.
Like, if you're allowing these characters to come in, then surely it's like you should allow the other characters. I mean, we know Mr. Moody is going to come back because, again, he's too popular, so we know he's going to be back in whatever future game. But again, it's like, well, if you allow these, then you should allow Rouge and Cream and the Team Caldex. I mean,
but
again,
like I said before, when it comes to the time where Sonic was the only playable character, it was Sonic, especially with Sonic 06, it was too many all at once. Yeah, Sonic, Shadow, and Silver in 06 was the main characters, but you still played as Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Blaze, Rouge, and Omega.
And that was during
that's 9 characters in a game. 9.
Yeah, and considering that
Heroes had 12, but at least it had the concept of using teamwork, so it was 3 at a time.
Yeah, but the thing with 06 is basically you play as a Sonic thing, and it's suddenly, oh, now I'm Tails. Okay, all right. Oh, I'm back to playing Sonic. All right, and it's like, oh, I'm Shadow. Oh, now I'm not a kid. What? Wait, what's going on? Just suddenly switch.
Oh yeah, it switched it up throughout the entire game. That was not a good. It was like interesting, but it wasn't a good idea.
No, I think the key thing is there, especially with Superstars, that they have said they're designing this that each character's route for the zones is like each one will have a unique thing to them. So if they're going to keep them as characters for future games, it's like you want to make sure the levels are designed in a way like, this is designed for Sonic, this is designed for Amy, this is designed for Knuckles. And again, there's some like integral thing, like I said with Frontiers, I'm curious to see how you're going to have the movesets for a big, huge world with those 3 characters.
Well, no different used in Sonic Adventure or Sonic Advance. They have their own attributes for the characteristics, is making them work in a new setting or new theme.
Exactly, that's the main thing. You need to make sure that they feel fun to play as their own characters, not just it's Sonic, but just red, basically.
But at least they try to be different in the classic games.
Yeah.
The game gets released on October 27th, so that's 2 months. We got a month for Frontiers and an extra month for Superstars.
It's going to be impressive. It's going to be a big one.
I'm just wondering what I do next year. We're about to yearly updates now because we had nothing since 2019.
No, but then again, a lot's happened since 2019, so there you go.
That's it for the item box. No, wait, no. Almost. Almost forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Martinet.
Yes.
Has stepped away from voicing Mario since back in 1995, 1996.
Yeah, they supposed to count Mario 64 to be the point, although there wasn't like a poker game that he did.
Mario Funhouse, I think it was.
That was it. Yeah, that was it.
And he's like, go fish. Go to fish. Just, make him Italian. It's like, and he's been the voice for every single game. Yeah, they reused some aspects in different games. Like they reused like Donkey Kong sound effects quite a bit until they got Crank Kirkhope back.
Yeah.
And did the entire Mario cast. So it was Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi.
Baby Wario, Baby Luigi as well.
Yeah, he had all the Marios.
And
all of a sudden it's like, hey, the 30 years you've had listening to this guy is going to stop. And honestly, when I first saw that notice from Nintendo, it's like an announcement from Charles Martinet. It's like, please tell me he didn't die.
Yeah, I mean, you do worry. I mean, it wasn't in black. I mean, if it was in black, then something's really sad.
If Nintendo is always red, it's like, okay, he stepped away. Oh, thank God. Because I'm in an age now where every icon I grew up with is now dying.
Yeah, it's getting to that point now where you just hope that somebody isn't passed away yet. That's something that you have to deal with.
Yeah, and it just sounds weird. Mario Ambassador, it's like he's still part of Nintendo, but he's just not voicing the character anymore.
Yeah,
which is weird. And the last, he's not in Wonder either.
This is the thing, because this all goes back to when Wonder was shown off, because people then kept saying, is it me or does Mario voice sound a little different? You know, people kind of saying, I'm not sure. And people were kind of ruminating like, oh, are they replacing him? Is he getting sacked or blah, 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 and other stuff. And initially, I didn't think anything about it. I thought they maybe just like, I don't know, it was still Charles, but they just like pitched his voice up a bit. I thought that's what they would have done. But yeah, apparently, you know, he's stepping down, and it's from Wonder onwards, I guess we're getting a new guy to play Mario and the rest of the dudes.
And it's just gonna be weird when you listen to it. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot of people. Someone tweeted out saying there's gonna be people out there who's gonna say the new actor doesn't sound so good, even though it sounds exactly the fucking same.
I mean, there's always going to be those people.
Mario's voice is distinct, but it's not a hard voice to emulate.
No. I mean, the thing that made me laugh is when they had put this announcement, they said they were giving the title as Mario Ambassador, which I thought was such a weird title to give him, but seems fitting. But then I kind of felt like, well, all right, I guess, because apparently he'll still do the voice for like conventions or things or like appearances. He'll still do that and get paid for it, I think. But it's like, well, is he gonna like overlook the next guy doing it? Is it just Nintendo in charge of that stuff? What's going on here?
I'm not too sure either, because the idea of him of a Mario ambassador, basically, I'm just basically a figurehead.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, presumably he'll be Mario for like every other thing. He'll probably tell stories about, oh, when I recorded the game and that stuff. You know, that's fine and things. But like I said, it's interesting they do this. In fact, the first thing this went in my head was basically, remember when Roger Craig Smith said he was retiring from Sonic? That whole thing.
Yeah.
Which again,
which was upsetting, but it was kind of par for the course for us at that point.
It was, but it was so weird because again, I brought this out. I'll put a link to it here. It was like I actually I actually got to chat to him one night. You know, actually, I think a few weeks before this happened, and I even jokingly said, you know, he did the little line for you and Sarah. You know, did go fast. I did ask him at the time, saying, "You ever get sick of doing that?" It's like, no, I get to play Sonic. It's always fun. And then suddenly a few weeks later, say, "Yeah, I'm stepping down." It's like, oh god, what's happening here? And it was not just that; it was also Ezio, who apparently he's not playing that character anymore. And there was this whole thing where he told this whole story that when he was Chris Redfield of Resident Evil 5, there's this big launch party, and you know they said, "Oh, but it's not, you know, it's not going to be that big a deal," but it was. And of course, they invite him, even though he's like playing the main title character who's on the fucking box. So there was a little bit of like something happening in the voice acting business stuff. But yeah, after that, we thought that was happening, and then Colleen was leaving, actress for Amy was leaving, guy who played Knuckles already left, and we got somebody else. So it was seemingly everybody's going apart from Mike. And then by Rise of the Wisps animation, it's like, oh no, they're still here, don't worry. And it's like, okay,
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, they think like, oh yeah, we're think they're retiring the voice actors, like could just re-audition.
Yeah. But like I said, it seemed weird because, like I said, there was generally this attitude because all the build up to Frontiers, it was thinking, are we getting an entirely new cast? You know, is this going to be, if this is going to be a new Star Sonic, is like even the cast members are going to be different. But it's like, no, they came back, re-auditioned, and the stories out there. You can see videos of like apparently Roger going into the auditions, you know, and they said,
oh yeah, right. There's a voice saying, "You're over, Egghead." Like a lower. You're over, Egghead. Lower. You're over, Egghead. Lower. It's over, Egghead. That's it.
That's
you
it.
Gotta be fucking
you got to be kidding me. Yeah.
Which is strange because when you first heard Roger as Sonic and Frontiers, it's like it didn't sound the same. Like, why is he so deep?
Yeah. I mean, we said it before, like, we kind of feel his best performance in Sonic was ironically Boom Sonic from TV because it just felt more like being more natural with the voice rather than trying to be more high pitched or kind of, I don't know, pretending to be a teenage character. Yeah. And particularly with Frontiers, like, again, he sounds like an older character. He sounds like he's matured. He sounds like he's more, you know, he's actually more smarter than what he's been for the last few years. And again, it just makes me wonder, it's like, are they, because again, it's done for this game, but going forwards, is he going to go back to the more, yeah, hi, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog type voice from now on?
Yeah, it's like good luck to the next voice actor who's going to voice Mario because you got one hell of a legacy to follow.
Yeah. I mean, it says
like,
a lot.
And also someone pointed out as well, like the last voice Charles Martinet did was the voice of Mario's dad saying, "These are my boys." That's his last official line, and that's still so bittersweet right now.
Well, given the fact that they announced he was going to be in the movie, and we were all ruminating, he's either going to play a father, uncle, grandfather, some relative of Mario, and you know, there's even the joke of the jump man literally right next to him with the dude. Do you think the voice is a bit too much? And of course, he does the full-on Mario voice as a gag. Yeah. But again, it says a lot. And again, he's done a lot of other works over the years. Like the dude's done other anime over the years.
Oh yeah, he was in Dragon Ball Superhero.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody pointed that out.
Yeah, he turned up for the premiere in the outfit. He was Colonel Magenta.
Right.
You won't guess it was Charles. You would never guess because people only think one role, Mario. That's his entire thing. He gets paid bank for playing one character for 30 years. Like, no, he's done plenty of other characters.
Yeah. And again, you have to remind yourself, it's like, it's not often people get to play a character like this for so long, especially when you're given like between gaming, animation, or fictional characters. Like, there's so many people who play these characters over the years. We mentioned with Sonic, but you think about like how many people that play like Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny. You know, there's been so many different actors over the many years. Like, you tend to remember some key people, but people come in and out to play these roles. I mean, another example to give you is like the guy playing Wallace now. I mean, Peter Sallis, who was Wallace from literally '89 to 2008, you know, in terms of shorts and movies, you know, he passed away in 2014, and they've got another guy playing Wallace, and they're already doing a new short coming next year. And again, that'll be the first time I think for a lot of people will be like, oh shit, Wallace sounds different type stuff. And it goes to that area of like, I mean, when you replace these people, it's like, do you want a sound alike or do you want them to be the character? There is a difference between those two.
I'd rather have a sound alike than actually work into being its own character.
Yeah, I mean,
go
that's the
to
key
something
thing,
else.
because a sound alike is you want them to sound like that before. You want the same intonation or voice or whatever. But then there's a difference between that to like, you need to be the character that's portrayed in this iteration or how we see it. That happens, you know, and that's down to direction, who they pick, rather than the person playing the job decide, no, I'm going to do it this way. It's like, that's not how it works, kids. But no, I mean, like I said, it's just weird to hear this. And, you know, obviously, like I said, I mean, he's still going to be around for a good few years. I mean, whoever they got to play Mario for Wonder coming up, I mean, again, it sounds, from what I heard of it, it almost sounds the same anyway. So they're doing, you know, they're doing the Wahoo right, I guess. That's the main criteria.
That's pretty much what was the audition in the first place. Just go Wahoo. Wahoo! No, next.
Because let's be fair, that's what both Charles and Roger have to do for these characters. It's like, it's not just saying the lines, but go, can you do ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, you know, a lot. So you get that right, then you got the job.
Pretty much. Last little thing as well, which you want to talk about, is SatAM ReJuiced.
Yes. So after, I think now 2 and a bit years, you know, the app named Reanimate project of Sonic the Hedgehog, the Deke Show, is finally coming to an end. And it's, you know, after all this time, and I'm just glad to finally say it will be out by September 18th. So that's when it's going to show off. But yeah, it's been a long road running, this bad boy. It's been a long road.
Yeah, and not only is ReJuiced coming out to finally showcase this multi-animation passion project, but SatAM is also coming out on Blu-ray, I think.
DVD, actually. Yeah, this is another thing. So yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, for SatAM ReJuiced, so you know, this is me. I get a chance to really kind of talk about this a bit now. So I actually came across this project back in, I think it might have been like early 2019 or even 2020 of all that thing. Again, I remember seeing one clip of it where somebody did a little segment where someone goes, man, that was a perfect 10. And they just did a little segment where SWATbots pulled up for 10. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. Then I looked at the notice and see what it was. And of course, it turns out they were looking for animators. And I said, oh, I do Lego animations. That was my kind of spiel into this. And, you know, from that, I decided I'm going to take one shot, which is Sonic just whistling of all things, which is not the most complicated thing to do. But in terms of what I had to do to get to it, took a lot of work because, you know, I'm dealing with I took my Lego Dimensions minifig of all things. It's funny to think now we've actually got like 3 different types of Sonics now in Lego form. But yeah, I took that, and of course, I was trying to figure out how do I do the whistle. And of course, I realized, you know, after a bunch of trial and errors, I realized that if I did a little flick with the claw hand, as the Lego movie says it, I can get a little whistle. And I spent like the first month and a half like trying to figure out how to do the running cycle, how to do the backdrop and all this stuff. And I decided my whole segment was going to be basically, what if Sonic was just filmed in a green screen studio, because all you see in the backdrop is just a blur image. So I thought, make that the joke. It's just him standing on one place doing one action, and make that the whole gag. But yeah, it was, I'm going to say, after 2.5 months, I'll say this, you know, I got down to a point where I had down to 2 shots I did late at night, because I did this entirely in my room, late at night with the lights on, me doing everything, setting everything up. And I did 2 shots of this, and I was so tired and so exhausted from this. In fact, I thought like, oh, this looks terrible and awful, it's going to look awful, blah, blah, blah. So I just left it the night, and I came back the next morning and I looked at the 2 shots, and I realized that actually one of these is probably the one I'm going to go with. And what ended up happening was, when I animated the second bit of what's in the final shot, is I did a little thing, because each time when I had to animate Sonic, I had to literally pick him up, because I had a separate running cycle thing. I've got a video for this. But again, I had to physically pop him on and off each time to animate him. And of course, doing that, I had to then have the mouth up and the little flick of the wrist. Well, when I did that, there was like a little bump happen when he whistled. And when I first saw it on the playback, I thought, oh, this looks terrible and awful. But then I look back thinking, you know what? I think it works. Yeah, I think it kind of works in that kind of stop motion sort of charm thing. So I thought, like, okay, I'll go with that. And yeah, that's the version you're going to see when this bad boy comes out. And that was almost about like, yeah, and I did that within 2 months. That was back in 2020. So I've been waiting a while for other people to do that. But it's been I also want to give a shout out to some of the people that did it, because there's some amazing stuff in here. There's a guy particularly I know called Stoven, who's done some wonderful, wonderful shots for this whole thing. He's basically done it as if he was rebooting the series now. He's done it in his style, and some of it is properly good, and how quick he was able to do it. Gwendolyn, who's another animator who's really good. There's a few other shots that are done in different animation styles, from 2D, 3D. There's a interesting one using paper cutouts. You'll see that when it comes out. But like I said, another thing I want to bring up very quickly is, when I finished my shot, I was very curious to see what the next shot would be, because after Sonic whistles, there's a reaction shot of the SWAT bots looking over. And for ages, I was wondering who was going to pick that up and what they were going to do with it. And I've seen it. I'm not going to give away here, because I want probably us two to do a reaction video to this when it finally comes out. What they ended up doing generally made me laugh. It is properly, if anything, not only did it after what I've done, the fact the next shot, in a weird way, is very reflects what I've done. I'll say that is probably the best thing about the whole about what's all coming together now. But yeah, it's going to be a real laugh to see.
I look forward to that, and yes, we'll do a reaction to it.
Yes, you're going to be surprised with some of the stuff they do. It's going to be a laugh.
Probably be better than the Sonic X reanimated.
Yeah, I mean,
the best part of that one was basically 2 Sonic and Knuckles still rolling down a hill.
Yeah, I think actually one thing I can say is that this is technically the first reanimated project of one of the Deke shows to be fully completed. People have tried to do one. In fact, there's one of Underground in the works. They're taking the episode Friend or Foe, the one with Knuckles' first appearance. So, I mean, I hope that gets finished. But like I said, there have been a few attempts, but this is the first time, at least SatAM one, that's getting completed. So it's going to be quite special. And also, as I said, there's a DVD release. Yeah, sorry, that was
a DVD release of SatAM box set, which will be like the 4th one released.
It's definitely the first one since I think the Shout Factory one that was back in like 2007. It's at least the complete full series. We've had like individual volume ones they've done over the years, but this is like a full.
I'm pretty sure there was other ones as well, but this one, the box art looks very generic. Yeah,
well, apparently the box art is taken from a screenshot from Doomsday. No, not Doomsday. Sorry, Blast of the Past Part 2. So it looks pretty. It explains why Sally's face looks so wonky in that perspective shot. But the other thing is,
they also announced was going to be a Sonic Underground one as well, using key art for its box art, and the Adventures one. Like, what the flying fuck did they do?
Yeah, I gotta get
someone. Whatever they were charging was no.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any artists or people who made the key art for that, but god fucking damn it, that was ugly.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of these are probably still using whatever bit of art PNG files that have been lying around for this stuff for years. So that's presumably why some of these are the way.
At least we're getting a box sets for them, not just going volume 1, 2, 3, 4. Fuck it, box set.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember that. I mean, it was brief tangent here is that they were going to do the same thing they did for Red Dwarf, which each volume would say the logo in the whole thing. But unlike Red Dwarf, where they did all 8 that spells Red Dwarf, for Underground, they did 4, gave up, and just did it as a full box set afterwards.
I think it's like, okay, how much can we get key out? We've got 12 pieces. That won't do how many volumes?
I mean, what's also weird?
Okay, what's the first episode again? Origins. Okay, why is that on volume 4?
Again, the way they released them, I think they went from episode order, not like chronological order. I guess there's a different thing where they do this stuff.
Yeah, and guess what? They're the same thing with fucking Power Samurai.
Yeah, but there you go. It happens to many DVD release. But with the SatAM thing, another thing I should mention, there's a guy in line, another shout I'll give you is there's a guy in line who's doing a complete history of SatAM. He's going to do as a book, but he's also been looking over all the various information from the cast and crew and bits of information. And he's looked at the entire DVD release. He's pointed out that this collection is a 2-disc set, so it's going to have all 26 episodes on 2 discs. Although he has mentioned that it's probably not going to be that good quality wise, especially when you can watch the show on YouTube these days. It's more or less free, but it isn't, the quality is probably about the same standard as like maybe the older DVD releases. So it's not going to be any bigger or better, especially considering that Avengers of all things got a Blu-ray release, and they did go up, and they are probably the best quality image you can get of that show on video at least. So again, and I heard a lot of people, like I said, like the box art, and people are worried about it is going to be a box standard release. Although, it'd be nice if there was a Blu-ray full special edition of this, especially given that the fact when Reanimate comes out, it's actually going to be on the anniversary of the show, so it's a nice timing for the anniversary of all things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, generally looking back at it, like I said, I know there's been hoo-ha. I mean, as I'm speaking now, there's been a bit of whole. If you've been on the internet, there's been this whole some random people decide to hate SatAM again because of reasons, maybe stupid reasons.
What's the most loved? This. Let's hate it.
Okay. Yeah, well, that also apparently the stupidest argument that went with it's not very game accurate. It was like, well, they went with like 4 images to go off with. That's what they did for the show for both of them. So,
Yeah, it's like it's not really game accurate. There was only 2 games at the fucking time, you moron.
Yeah,
Super Mario Bros. Super Show only had 2 games to go on.
I know. It's very much the case of here are 2 games, make a show out of that. It's like, what do we do? Make stuff up. That's what you do in this industry. You make stuff up.
Street Fighter had a cartoon. Darkstalkers had a cartoon. Do you know about Darkstalkers? I know fuck all about Darkstalkers. apart from the characters Felicia and Morrigan, apparently the biggest babes are from that franchise.
Yeah, and it's basically, okay, make this into a child-friendly cartoon. Okay, we'll find a way somehow.
Rambo and RoboCop had cartoons.
I know. So, again, there's always stupid reasons. But again, as I've been part of this project, again, I met a lot of people from the Discord and stuff, and I've gotten to know quite a few people, and it's interesting looking at the interest of SatAM over the years. Like I said, it's a bit of this weird thing where some people love it and hate it, or love hating it for no reason, and probably more underground.
I don't hate it, but I don't particularly care for it.
No.
I think it was hard to watch growing up, so I watched Adventures and Underground. Whatever episode of SatAM came out was like an event to me, but I don't have that much nostalgia for it.
No. But like I said, I think one of the reasons there's sometimes this diff between people is, and there's a lot of people who wish like the series in general, like how the games are, they wish they would be more like SatAM versus people want the game series to be its own thing. And there's always been that cross-cutting with some fans and stuff. But as ever, I look at these different things with an open mind. They are their own things, and they should be celebrated as they are. And like I said, the reason I even did this was because I like SatAM. I grew up as a kid. I loved it. And the fact I was able to get involved with the Reanimate project was something like I jumped at because I want to do something with this whole thing. And as I said, this is done as a love for the show, whether it ever comes back or not. I mean, there's always talks about people, we know there's a Team Season 3 thing on the works, which we're still waiting to figure out what that's happening with. But generally speaking, I always love each of the different variations the series has from TV, comics, and movies. And I'm always interested to see what they do with it. I'm always interested to see what you give the series out to creative people. And it's like, okay, just play with it, see what you do with it, and we'll come back and see the end result.
So when you say get released again? September 18th?
September 18th. Put it this way, it's funny enough because just the day before then, I'm actually going to be down for, this will be the last thing for now. I'm actually going to be down for the Sonic Symphony, which is happening in London the day before that's coming out. So that's going to be an interesting back-to-back of all things.
I know we should have mentioned the Sonic Symphony, but it's like it's pretty much if you watch the Symphony from 2021, it's kind of the same thing, but this time you have to be there in person.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the key thing. To be there for real is going to be something. I mean, we'll talk about that probably after I've done it. We'll probably do an episode about that at least. It's,
Yeah. It'll be like the Video Games Live thing, except it's not hosted by a twat.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad that. I mean, I did love Video Games Live for what it is. It's just a shame. It's like, oh yeah, it turns out guy behind it's a bit of a knob, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. But that is it for the item box. I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Support us over on the YouTube memberships. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast, if you want to do, I hate doing end stuff. I really do.
I mean, the plug.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter and Threads. I am now on Blue Sky, so you can follow me on there. Links will be in the description. You can support the channel via memberships, or you can support as a single donation via super thanks. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and we shall see you all next time.
Yeah.
Why can't I say that in more concise? I sound like a fucking e-beggar. Oh, I hate it.